MMOs are highly complex and take a long time to develop.
Black Desert took 1.5 years. 2 years technically, start to finish.
Ashes is going to be on the high end.
Was that true? That Black Desert took 2 years to make from start to finish?
Okay, I have a short video.
One of the biggest
I have a short video. Somebody submitted this to me. It says, "Why is Ashes of Creation taking so long?" Hopefully, he has an answer.
I love this
for
video
it.
from the Ashes of Creation haters is it's taking too long.
It is taking too long, man. It's been in development for like 10 years.
It's been in development for 7.
However, there are some details that many of you are not aware of, and that few are pointing out. So I think
so. We're doing Inception. This is like the 3rd dreamscape, where we're within a dream, within a dream, within a dream. Hopefully, we do not go further because then it'll become more and more unstable. So let's keep it.
It's time for me, the YouTuber with a tiny reach and amazing sponsors, to set the record straight. First, I want to talk about MMO development times. MMOs are highly complex and take a long time to develop.
Black Desert took 1.5 years. 2 years technically, start to finish.
Ashes is going to be on the high end.
Was that true? That Black Desert took 2 years to make from start to finish? We see. You just need Asmongold to pick your video up next. Okay, so he's wrong about that. I've never played Black Desert Online. Again, when I looked up the length of time it took to make all of the major MMOs like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, ESO, BDO, like usually it was all 5+ years. Like I haven't seen an MMO be done less than 5 years. So let me see. Vlhadus Rect and Blue Squadron to yep, that's right.
End of development times, but there are several reasons for that, which I will get into later in the video. But first, let's look at how long it took
He's probably one of the
develop
smartest people I know.
Popular MMOs.
You know, we just talked about simps and like simping culture in Korea. How is that any different than spending money on Ashes of Creation? If I put more money into it, it will be a good game. If I give her more money, she will love me. How is this any different? Stop simping on Ashes of Creation. Stop giving them money. Stop doing it.
So people will give Intrepid money because of the belief in their vision. If you don't give a brand new startup company money, they can't make an MMORPG or any game for that matter. If you are relying on some kind of an angel investor or some kind of publisher, I think a lot of us know how that turns out. I think Steven and Intrepid Studios are trying to go with the grassroots campaign, and that's why they did a Kickstarter, because Steven had a vision for an MMO, and he wanted to see, is this vision something that other people want as well? And clearly, they did.
While it took 5 years to develop originally, but it was
until she puts out for you, don't give her any more money. Okay? Ashes of Creation is the same way. And don't give her money for putting out for you either. Jesus. I meant in terms of video game. Oh man, we took this analogy too far.
That's an existing studio that had a bunch
Don't pay people money for this kind of stuff. Stop paying her money. Like
developers that could shift over to the MMO project. This is something Intrepid did not.
I'm really curious as to like what he wants, because, you know, does he want a corporation? Who created Black Desert Online? Is that Nexon, or like what Eastern company made Black Desert Online? Because every Pearl Abyss, okay. So Nexon, Pearl Abyss, like all these Eastern, they all do pay to win. And here in America, it's not too far off either. Like anytime you have these big major companies, and it's all reliant off of this company's money, they're going to put all the things that gamers don't want in today's games. And that's why you have a lot of these AA and single A and indie developers doing these things, because they're grassroots, because people are giving them money, and they are able to realize their vision because people are contributing and having their vision grow. I think that's ultimately what every gamer wants, right? Every gamer wants, the vision that they think, man, this is really cool idea for a game. I want it to succeed. Why else, again, were people wanting to buy the day before? Because people want a zombie first-person shooter MMO kind of game. I mean, it had so much hype. It was the #1 requested game on Steam. And as apparent it was to me that that game was a scam, people had hope. And so, again, it's because these AAA studios aren't giving us what we want as gamers. So, I honestly, I'm still waiting to see like why he doesn't want people to give Ashes money.
Have the luxury of. Also, WoW at launch wasn't
We had
great
it,
at
and then we
all in
lost it.
comparison to modern standards. There was minimal content, a massive amount of bugs, and the polish wasn't there yet. It just happened to be a time when that was the state of all MMOs.
Yeah.
It was an easier time to launch an MMO because the standards hadn't been raised yet. An
Also
MMO
true.
that tried to launch today with the features and level of polish.
Well, WoW kind of paved the path, right? Of course it was going to have bugs. Of course it was going to have issues, but it launched more polished than anything else we had ever seen. That's not a good comparison at all. Like nowadays, you have way more shit to go off of. You have way easier like development phases for MMOs because you already know what works. You have like systems and stuff. WoW didn't have any of that. They had to develop it from scratch. It still took less time.
That WoW had in
And we
Is he trying to say that it's easier now to make games than it was in the past? I feel lost in how he's describing this or phrasing this particular thing, because, and I hate keep bashing on New World, but New World it was not easier to make New World in today's day and age because of how Lumberyard was. So, Final Fantasy 14, it was atrocious coming out in the 1.0 level. And again, I know Roar, he literally beta tested World of Warcraft, original vanilla World of Warcraft. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows day one of World of Warcraft. Let's be honest. There were bugs. There were problems with the day one launch and month one launch. And if anybody can probably say that better, it's Roar, because he was there. He experienced it. And I think it's the same thing when I hear people talk about Path of Exile and Last Epoch, because Path of Exile, I think, had less content in it at its launch comparatively to Last Epoch. I think Last Epoch actually had more content in it, but people don't remember that because it was all the way back in 2012 or 2013 when Path of Exile came out. Again, this is the whole day and age of like, you can't even remember what you were upset about on the internet a month ago, much less 12 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. WoW still had bugs, and it's many years later. My joke with classic bugs is, don't worry, I heard they will fix it soon. Well, and again, I think especially with it was par for the course, because MMOs, especially in the early 2000s, were still brand new. It was an emerging genre. WoW literally made the MMO genre mainstream. Before World of Warcraft, no one knew what an MMO was. Like, if you said you were playing Star Wars Galaxies and it's an MMO, like, you'd be like, what's that? You know? So it wasn't that genre yet that people knew and just people heard over and over. So no, I'm talking 2023 classic WoW, still bugs. No changes. No changes. Keep the bugs there. See, BDO page on Wikipedia says the Korean version of BDO started development in 2010, launched in Korea, Japan, and Russia in 2015, 5 years. Launched in the US and EU in 2016. Yep. All right.
Tara, we're gonna play Naraka after I do the patch notes.
2004 would flop incredibly hard. Even without having to meet modern standards, it still took a full 5 years for Blizzard to develop World of Warcraft as an existing studio.
Yeah, 5 years. How long has Ashes been in creation and been in development? How long has Ashes of Creation? Yeah, there it is.
7.
Since December 10th, 2016. So that's 8 years?
7.
Right? Almost 8 years. We're at 7.5 years. You notice that the best MMO of all time took 5. Don't give me the copium that, it just takes a long time. We're already past WoW, man. Like,
Final Fantasy.
So I think, and I've heard this take from so many people before, right? Because they look up and they think their favorite MMO, but Blizzard had a lot of developers before they were making World of Warcraft. They literally had, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, probably over 10 titles that they came out with previously before World of Warcraft. So Intrepid in December of 2016 had probably less than 5 employees, and not all of them were developers. And so once they did the Kickstarter in May, I still think they had less than 20 developers or less than 20 employees, like all around. Blizzard had way more than 20 employees at day one of making World of Warcraft. So it's a very inaccurate comparison because you have a fledgling company like Intrepid comparing to almost a juggernaut at this point with Blizzard in 2001, you know, or was it 1999 that they started World of Warcraft all the way to 2004. So Intrepid now has barely almost gotten to over 200 developers, right? And so it's one of those things that it also doesn't help that Ashes of Creation is literally one of the biggest MMO projects you've probably ever seen on paper. So you're literally saying, well, it took WoW 5 years, but what are the systems that World of Warcraft had? You know, they had dungeons, they had raids, they had their classes, they had talents, they had professions, quests, and that's it. Like, literally. Like, how many systems are there in Ashes of Creation? Over 25 of them. That all of them have some kind of an interconnection with one another. Like, to me, it's a very unfair comparison. Oh, Strauss, dude, thank you so much for the follow. Yard, thank you so much for the follow too. They had multiple studios already. Yeah, exactly. They're also going about it completely different approach, so there isn't anything to compare it to. Oh yeah, yeah. Again, like I feel like when you're trying to compare, especially like, oh, it took WoW X amount of time. Like, why is Intrepid taking so long? I just think already you're already doing a very unfair comparison, because every single MMO that we're trying to describe all came from AAA studios. All of them. Like, you think of ESO, BDO, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, like all of these MMOs, New World, they had hundreds of developers day one of their project. Riot, they're making their MMO. I'm pretty sure that they don't have less than 20 people working on their MMO right now. So that's the reasoning why Ashes has literally taken as long as it did. And like, I still think it's probably going to be 2027 for the live launch of Ashes. Like, I think Alpha 2 is going to take about 3 years. I do. And I think people like Blue Squadron are going to be really upset once they get into Alpha 2 and realize how little content there is to play. And that's why Steven said what he said during this last live stream about how this isn't a playable game yet. This is testing a lot of the major features and interactions with how you feel and how the game reacts, and you giving that feedback. And, you know, we'll have to just wait and see. I'm going to butcher your name. El Chalada? Thank you so much for the follow. Thank you. Let me see. I had followed him, a fellow teacher and streamer. He lost his teaching job due to issues with streaming, and I wanted to support him, but listening to his demeanor in this video and uneducated takes, that gets proved wrong, yet he still holds his position, just not someone I want to watch or listen to. All right, Pockets. I mean, I completely understand. I don't know Blue Squadron. I don't know that he used to be a teacher or anything like that. Wait, wasn't that the video that Asmongold was reacting to? That he lost his teaching job because some teacher told on him from school, and then he ended up getting fired and stuff like that. That's this guy, right? Okay, I remember seeing a video from him. Okay, now I have it in my head all straightened out. Cool. Let me see. Streamers will never act like that, though. Let me see. In these small parts I have seen so far, he seems a little obnoxious. Maybe he's just very heated at the moment. No clue. Well, and again, not to mention the shit I did, you know, reacting. I honestly feel like I love having the accountability of my chat, the content creators and everything like that. And honestly, my wife was the one that really pointed out to me. Like, if he doesn't have anybody pointing this stuff out except his chat or except comments, it's just going to fuel his rage even further. But I actually had people that I really love and admire tell me, like, hey, dude, you were kind of unbecoming of, of how you acted. And I reassessed. Like, I think, hopefully every content creator comes with the moment, but sometimes they need to go through it just a little bit more,
Fantasy 14 took 5 years for its first launch, which
the integer 5 is lower than the integer 7.5. So
failed
or 7,
and then
I guess.
relaunched 3 years later.
7.5
so in
isn't
total,
an
8
integer.
years.
Yeah, almost
Again,
9.
This was an existing studio. And here are a bunch more currently popular MMOs. And
Yeah, and you'll notice that none of these are hitting 8 years, except for 8 years Korean launch, 11 years Western launch. Okay, so Lost Ark took some time, but they weren't teasing it over our heads, asking us for more money the whole time. Okay, so like Lost Ark took 8 years, but like they weren't literally.
So, and just to say, Blue Squadron, Steven has said repeatedly to not purchase his pre-order packs. Like, repeatedly. If you go and watch a lot of the older streams from like 2020 to 2022, you can probably hear him say, if you are still on the fence for Ashes of Creation, like, please don't purchase the Alpha 2 package. Just, watch your favorite streamer play the game and wait till the game goes live. For me, that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to support this company, because Steven didn't seem like this money hungry kind of dude. And he also could have played it into the fact that, guys, like, we're this very fledgling studio. We really need your support. Please buy our pre-order packs. Like, we have some really cool cosmetics. Like, I think we've done a really awesome job. Like, please buy our packs. He could have been that way too. And I think a lot of people would have supported him that way as well. But that's not how he was. He literally said to people, please, if you're on the fence, don't buy our pre-order packs. Just wait. See our progress month to month. And I think that was a very genuine thing for Steven to do. So let me see. It's reverse psychology. We got debated into pre-order. Let me see. When was this video made for context? I don't know. Let's see. When did Blue Squadron come out with this video? Literally a day ago. Literally 1 day ago. So on the 2nd. Well, you're not wrong there. All right, let's keep going, because I've actually seen this video from Rive. This is an amazing video, and this is why I respect Rive so much, because he is a smart dude and he does his freaking research.
Asking you for $700 more to play their next Alpha 7. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about? It's not even close to the same. No wonder people are upset about this game.
Do you note that many of these projects came from existing?
BDO did not take 5 years. We watched a video on it recently. It said it took them a year and a half from like the very start to basically their beta test. And then it took them another half a year after that. So it took them like 2 years. And they were a new studio. Much smaller.
MMOs and their development times.
BDO took 4 years. Well, even still, even if you do put 4 years, we watched the video that said 2. So like that's where I get that figure. But even if it did take 4 years, it's still half of what Ashes have taken. And Ashes is nowhere near ready, guys. Keep in mind, these are finished product at 7 years.
So I am not a BDO player. I have never played BDO. If anybody's played BDO in the chat, can you please enlighten me? How many systems are there in BDO? Like, would you say that BDO is a very big game? Like, there's a lot of systems, a lot of facets to this game. Like, I'm just curious, because I'm not going to speak about something I have literally no things of. Let me see. Crackle says no. So would you say that BDO is around the same scope as maybe like classic WoW? Like, it had kind of all of your standard MMO systems, like, and nothing else. Mostly AFK stuff. Let me see. I played the shit out of BDO. It's gotten bigger over the years, but it didn't start off as what I would call a large scale. So, okay, when I talk about BDO, I'm talking just its launch, day one launch experience. I'm not talking all the stuff it's accumulated since then. Like, at launch, was it a more basic MMORPG with its systems, or did it have more than just your BDO systems, or more than just your average MMO systems? Your character is only one class. There's only like maybe 5 to 10 abilities. Okay. BDO is pay to win. The streamer has allegedly spent $18K on it. Wow. $18,000 on BDO. Oh my God. BDO, I had a box price launch. It was in depth. The best thing about BDO is the crafting / harvesting systems for armor and gear upgrades based on RNG. Okay, so okay, if Ashes is 100%, let me get perspective here. If we talk about all the systems that are in Ashes of Creation, right? The node system, profession system, the 64 class system, religion system, the naval system, the tattoo system, the enchanting system, the story arc system, the monster coin system, and all of that equals 100%. Juxtapose that to BDO. What would the percentage be as far as like system ratio to Ashes? Would you say it's like 60% to Ashes, 40% to Ashes, like in regarding to its systems? 15%? Like, how big is the BDO world? Is BDO's world really big at launch? I'm talking just at launch. Was BDO's world like monstrous? So I see 15%. Every other MMO is under 50%, 60 to 70% in my opinion. BDO's 25% of Ashes of Creation. BDO 1 to 20 to AOC. Holy crap. Okay. Well, that gives me a better perspective. Okay, let's keep going.
Finished product at 5 years. Finished product at 4 years. Finished product at 6 years. Ashes is, guys, they announced that there's going to be 7 biomes. They have 1 biome done. They announced like 2 or 3 continents. They don't even have one section of one.
So there's 2 major continents. There's not 7 biomes in total. I think there's 19 biomes in total across both continents. Steven did say that we probably are going to get into 5 biomes at the start of Alpha 2, which I believe is the Badlands, the Sandswall Desert, the Riverlands, the Tropics, and I think the Dunskill Mountains. So, again, like I think, and this is what I've been saying, guys, is that there's a lot of people who have a little bit of information and they exacerbate that to think they know, oh, okay, I heard this information, I'm just going to roll with it. Because again, your average person isn't going to go too much in depth and research the way we would. However, this is a little different because I've always been of the opinion that if I don't know about something, I am not going to talk about like I know it. And he is trying to talk about Ashes like he knows this game. And I think that's the problem that I think sometimes content creators have is they're like, well, I have a huge understanding of this MMO. So when I hear like a 10-minute video on this big, huge game like Ashes of Creation, I just know everything about Ashes because I've watched this 10-minute video. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's, we're going to get a lot of these guys. Like you're going to see a lot of blue squadrons start popping up from now until Alpha 2. And just wait till Alpha 2 starts. You're going to see them pop up like weeds. It's going to be everywhere. Let me see. Didn't Steven say like 7 biomes are finished? Well, he says that the majority of the content that is finishing is on the Western continent, which is where the Riverlands is. Steven also says that they really truly haven't started anything on the Eastern continent yet. Like they've been truly focused on just the Western continent and all of its biomes. And that's why I've had the opinion that the Alpha 2 is going to take 2 to 3 years, because you have these big, huge zones like the Riverlands, which the Riverlands alone is bigger than the entire world map of New World. So I think to some players, they don't truly understand how big Ash's map is, because you have to fill that map with content. And content is not very easily something you'd come by. Yard, seriously? Yes, I am serious. The Riverlands biome alone is bigger than the entire continent of New World. Just to give you perspective. Yes. Let me see. 7 biomes finished from an environment perspective, not content. They have not given how many we will have at A2. And Veriz, I think you're right. I remember Steven talking about that, and that's why Margaret keeps saying that they're going to give us like a whole like what's at the start of Alpha 2, because stuff may have changed, but I'm just talking conceptually, like what Steven has said in the past, and just trying to relate to potentially Blue Squadron, whoever else is going to watch this video. Vlhadus, all these creators out there know exactly what they're doing. No need to apologize. Invite them on the 1v1, keep it moving. Oh yeah, Vale, for sure. And honestly, I would love to talk to Blue Squadron. I would love to. If you're watching Blue, I would love to talk to you on my podcast, and I can talk to you about Ashes and why Ashes is taking as long as it is, because it is more nuanced than you think.
Continent done. They don't have, like, 7 of the 8 races aren't done. Like, guys, like, they're so far from a finished product, it's not even close.
Do note that many of these projects came from existing developers, or the scope was incredibly simplistic.
I would not say that any of these, the scope, okay, the scope was really small, true. But, like, ESO is not a small scope. Bro, ESO was a big project. Huge.
So he's, what Rai was saying is it's smaller than scope than Ashes. It even says so right here, Blue. Existing studio, much smaller scope than Ashes, because if you were to literally go to the wiki page on Ashes and look at every single system that Ashes of Creation is trying to do and how in depth they're doing those systems, it's massive. This game is literally huge. It is the most massive game I have probably ever witnessed. Let me see. Does he know what he's doing though? Yes, one controversial video and maybe a few more will get big views. But if so, badly researched or out of touch. Who wants to watch the next video in the future? Sure as hell won't be me. Well, and again, Skip, like I feel like there's just content creators that they think they have a grip on a project, and because again, a lot of these MMOs that are coming out are very small in scope. I mean, look at New World. New World was insanely small in scope. It really didn't do much of anything that an existing MMO was already doing. And so I think, again, you just see this MMO that has this huge ambition, and you don't take it as that. You just take it as them just twiddling their thumbs and not doing anything. But I can assure you, they are probably working hard and as fast, probably faster than these AAA studios probably would be doing. I honestly believe that. I think the developers at Intrepid are working faster than any developer would at a AAA game, because these devs are passionate. The devs that work at Intrepid would probably willingly work till 9 p.m. like when they started at 8 in the morning, and it's because like they have that vision. They know like what's at stake here, and they're all gamers. That's one of the other reasons why like I respect the hell out of the studio. I think a lot of people that are knowledgeable about AOC, they do the same. Well, yeah, and I think again, like this is why I think it's important for us as content creators of Ashes of Creation to enlighten people, because they're, every month they do these hour, 2 hour, 3 hour live streams, and I think the average person isn't going to watch that. But they will watch a video that Rive makes. They will watch a video that Roar makes. They will watch a video that Stequino makes. They will watch a video that the Golden Feather makes. But I think it's one of those things where you can't truly explain the true scope of Ashes in a 10-minute video. I mean, even Rive's everything we know about Ashes of Creation in 2024 is like a 2 hour and 30-minute video. And even that is an awesome video. But man, that video, like, it's just a lot to unpack. And I think, again, these kinds of content creators, because they're still stuck in their home MMO and they hate it. They hate it. They want to be somewhere else, but they're stuck playing their current game and they want to break free. And yet they see this other MMO that's taking too long in their heads, and what the hell? What's going on? And I think that's Blue Squadron's role, right? Is like he's not understanding the true scope. Lazy Peon did the best job. Oh yeah. I mention all of the like the niche Ashes, because I consider us still niche because we're super small. But I mean, yes, Lazy Peon has done phenomenal work as far as like letting people know the broader scope of Ashes of Creation.
Guild Wars 2. So is Guild Wars 2. Eve is a bigger scope than probably even Ashes is. No, like saying that Eve is a small scope compared to Ashes is crazy. That's crazy. Eve's
Auxiliary, dude, thank you so much for the follow, man. Thank you.
Like how complicated the game is, how vast the world is way larger than Ashes. Get the out of here. Like Eve is like a way larger scope, and yeah, it's way less polished, but it still only took 6 years to get done.
Let me see. Sheeta brought up a good point. He says on the flip side, there's a lot of people who invested, who feel like their invested time is too much to let go of their game. I felt exactly that playing WoW, or letting go of WoW. I mean, 16 years in a game. It's not something in my head that I can just easily throw away, but I was, because again, I had to look at it from a different perspective. The time sink cost fallacy, or however way you want to talk about it, is real. There's a lot of people that, you know, it's just, you think of all of the stuff you've done and you're just like, I'm just going to throw all this away, but it's not really throwing it away. You earned it. Now it's just going to go on this kind of virtual mantle and you're just going to remember it. Same way you did when you played Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation, right? You still have that. I still have my memory cartridge. It's still there. You know, I did that way back when. I beat it in all the difficulties. And I have that memory and I have those experiences, and then those experiences go to another new experience. And I think, again, sometimes, you know, it's that not wanting to let go because of all the fond memories you have. You know, it's a very real feeling. You know, I felt the same way too, letting go of Halo. I played Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3. And once I got to Halo 3, I couldn't do it anymore. You know?
Right? Like, so like this is Eve right here. Sorry guys, my camera was blocking out. I'll move my camera down so we can see it. But like, you can tell he's on like a massive amount of copium about this. Like, these are not.
See, I mean, because of the Lazy Peon is why I started following Ashes after the two very good, I think, interviews by Summit, 1G and Shroud and Asmongold. That was like 2 years ago. Yep. The first one I saw, I literally was watching Asmongold at the time. And then I saw the Lazy Peon video, and then I saw the Lazy Peon video of Asmon reacting to it. And I was like, oh my God, this MMO is insane. To then go into the phone call or the Discord call that Asmongold had with Steven as he was driving to Las Vegas, and got to literally hear an interview, a live interview with Asmon and Steven talking about Ashes. That's what got me hooked to the game. And it was just for me, I was like coming from Blizzard where everything was shit and there was just no communication between its content creators and Blizzard, and everything was super fractured and people were just super unhappy. And then you have this guy like Steven just cussing, and he sounded like a gamer. He just sounded so genuine in how he talked. And, you know, like he just super passionate, you know, and I'm a very passionate guy. So it's like, I was like, oh my God, it's like, I want to know more about this project.
Not small project. What did he say about BDO?
Came really popular MMOs.
Much smaller scope than Ashes. BDO hits a wider scope than even Ashes of Creation does. Are you kidding me? BDO came out in 2016. We have like all kinds of systems in the game. It hits a way larger game. Like, BDO is massively complex systems that are way more in depth than Ashes. Ashes' most complex system is the Tetris system that you have for the inventory. Yeah, BDO is a sandbox. Yeah, I know. Like, there's nothing in Ashes that makes it incredibly hard to grasp, right? Like, the thing that Ashes is trying to do, you've got seasons, okay? And, like, the world evolves as players, like, do stuff. Okay, sure.
The node system.
But, like, aside from that, the combat is way less of a scope than BDO is. The life skills are way less developed than BDO's life skills. Look at, like, sniper hunting in BDO. Look at, like, the fact that you can ride around on your horse with a giant-ass musket and hunt down griffins. I don't see anything like that in Ashes. Are we kidding? Like, the bartering system, right? Like, trading as a concept, like.
I mean, you're gonna have player-made stalls. You're gonna have regional auction houses. You're gonna have 21 professions: gathering, processing, crafting. I don't know how in depth they're going to be comparatively to BDO, because again, I haven't played BDO, but they're going to be way more in scope than World of Warcraft was. At least that's to my knowledge, because that's where where all of my knowledge comes from as well. So yeah, the life skills that aren't even developed yet. Well, I feel like the professions are still being worked on, and we really, truly, even through that artisanship preview that we saw, was just a preview. It was a very small scope of what that system is really going to entail. And I think, again, this is the problem sometimes of when a person like Blue Squadron watches that artisanship preview and they just think, oh, because they're taking it into BDO now. How long has BDO been out? So since 2016 to now, it's been a little like less than like 9 years or 8 years that BDO has been out. So when he's literally thinking of all the stuff that BDO has, he's thinking about it in 2024. That's not how you juxtapose what Ashes is doing in an alpha stated game to your BDO experience. You have to take your BDO experience to 2016 when the game launched, because that is, in my opinion, a more fair comparison. But again, even that, if BDO was a brand new studio, then it is probably a pretty fair comparison to do that with. But I still think Rive was right, and it is much smaller in scope. Because again, I know Rive does his research. Keep in mind his audience is a lot of BDO players, of course. You know what I mean? And they're gonna take Blue Squadron's opinion because they are BDO players. It's the same thing of whenever you see Asmongold and all of the WoW players that are in his chat, because that's all they know. They're just WoW brained, In
their development times.
They're all saying all small scope. These are all way bigger games than Ashes is. Like,
that many of these projects came from existing developers.
New World should have been in development. Should have been in development longer. Tiny scope. Are you kidding me? What?
Or the scope was incredibly simplistic.
Okay, what's his definition of a scope? His definition of a scope. Like, my definition of a scope is, okay, how many systems are in the game? How complex are those systems? How much time do you have to spend learning those systems?
Okay, but if that's your definition, then I agree with Rive. New World has a very tiny scope. There's not much to New World that takes like dissertations to write out as far as like how systems are explained, or it's not an overwhelming experience. You have 3 buttons. You have a very small talent tree for your weapons and skills. You basically pick up stuff. You have like a bag, that you start off with that's weight based. Like there's wars and stuff like that. Outside of that, am I missing anything? Is there any other major system that I'm not talking about from New World? Again, I haven't played New World, but I do know a little bit about it. But I think, again, if that's his definition of scope, Rive is still correct.
Right? So, like, to me, like, the scope of a game, I think EVE Online probably has, like, the biggest scope in which it's trying to cover, like, a massive amount of shit and the amount of complexity in the game, right? But, like, most of these MMOs have massive scopes that they cover, like, at least on par with Ashes, if not better. Scope equals scope. That's fair.
In fact, no MMO on this list has a scope as complex as Ashes. Another important distinction, it is much harder to launch an MMO these days than it was in 2004.
What about 2016? What about 2020? How is it harder? You have Unreal Engine 5. Shut up. It's not harder. Unreal Engine.
So it's not harder, but the reason why is because players demand more. And Steven knows that. Every MMO, like New World that's come out, has been basic in scope. And there isn't enough content to give, there isn't enough content for players to last longer than a couple of weeks to a month. And what Ashes is doing is providing that content in a way that you can't just beat, or I have nothing to do in Ashes of Creation in a month. And that is what Steven and the team are trying to accomplish. And I think with every theme park MMO, maybe not BDO, again, I don't have the BDO knowledge. I can't speak on that. But a lot of the theme park MMOs literally take, if you're a brand new player, less than a month to basically get to the point of being bored. And you're like, I have nothing to do. I don't know what to do. I feel like I've done everything. Like, what's going on? And you're just kind of like, you feel like you're SOL, And Ashes is not only making a lot of the company created content, but there's, because it has sandbox elements, there's going to be a lot of player created content with that. And I think that's going to add even more longevity and more stuff to do. And then you think of all the spy and intrigue and how your reputation matters and everything like that. It's just, there's so many sub layers to it and so much minutia that if you truly tried to understand the real scope and what Ashes really is, like, I think you'd be totally surprised by it. I really would.
Division 5 makes it brain dead. We had people like, what was that MMO that was gonna come out but then didn't? Like, looked like it was a scam. It was just a bunch of Unreal Engine things just dumped it like from the store, just dumped into the game. I forget what the name of that MMO was, but like, I don't think it ultimately came out. But like, Unreal Engine 5 makes everything way easier. Not the day before, Quinfall. That's the one, Quinfall. Like, literally, Unreal Engine 5 makes everything way, way easier for people. And so do the engines nowadays, just in general. Are you kidding me? BDO had to create its own engine. Like,
well, and I think that's the problem there. Every single time, like, I'm actually doing this video, which I haven't curated yet, but it's like, is Ashes of Creation going to be outdated when it launches? Because I've heard a lot of people say that, and I just completely disagree. The reasoning why you would say BDO and all these other games that are outdated now is because they all have modified custom engines. Like, they're all off of like CryEngine or like the Lumberyard. WoW's using its Warcraft 3 modified engine. There's all these different modified engines, and the only people that can actually upgrade those engines is the company themselves. Intrepid has the biggest boon because they can work on Ashes of Creation while Unreal works on Unreal's engine. So any updates that come out, if Intrepid wants to update the game to that .x version, they can do that. So if they want to wait a couple of expansions and do like the next big one, they can do that. The reason why it took WoW so long to literally get a facelift is because they had to work on their engine and modify it so much so to have what we have today. And Intrepid doesn't need to put any time into Unreal, because that's that company's job. Our job is to make our game as best as we can. And that is the biggest boon that Ashes is going to have in its future. Excuse me. Worse than he has no clue about any kind of development at all, but talks as if he has years of experience developing games. Well, and again, I think as some content creators have this persona, like they think they know everything. I'm not saying that's what he's trying to do, but he clearly is trying to think that, or he's trying to exude that he knows all this stuff.
You have to launch with a lot more content and polish to have a successful
Dark Avocado, thanks for the reset for 4 months, man.
Then how about unreleased
Welcome
projects?
back,
Throne and Liberty has been in development for 12 years.
And it's garbage. I'm just kidding. We're going to play it when it comes out. Did Throne
and you will play Ashes of Creation when it comes out.
and Liberty develop for 12 years? How long did...
Like, and I've literally seen this before. Like, every single content creator that talks crap about a game ends up playing it. Like, he just said, Throne Liberty is complete crap, but we're going to play it when it comes out. It's like, and that's why Diablo 4 made $1.4 billion. Because people can talk crap about Blizzard all they want, but they're going to buy it for $100. And they did. And that's why that game made them as much money as it did. Vlhadus or Viblicon. Thank you so much for the follow. Thank you. You can always, be entertained by my inability to read names.
The game was first announced and titled as Lineage Eternal in November 2011. So yeah, really long time. But again, the difference between Throne and Liberty and Ashes of Creation is Throne and Liberty didn't actually ask you for 12 years for more money every year so that they could keep developing their game.
Yeah, but Throne of Liberty is made by Nexon, isn't it? Isn't Throne of Liberty a Nexon product? NCSoft, sorry. NCSoft. Yeah, I was like, I knew it was one of the big companies, and that's why they didn't ask you for a single cent, because they have a multitude of developers, they have a multitude of money at their disposal, so they didn't need to ask you for anything. Intrepid is literally a fledgling company, a startup, as you say, that started in 2017 or December of 2016. And yeah, startups need money to survive. Otherwise, they don't get to actually release the product, you know? And what's funny enough is that Pantheon is facing this. Like, Pantheon may not release, like, you know, I mean, it's trying to release, but I mean, they don't have that many developers working on that game. And that game has taken a lot of time. I think it's like, what, over 9 years that Pantheon's been in development? So, you know, and again, Throne of Liberty is going to be pay to win, just like Roar said. So they don't need to ask you for money, because the small amount of people that are going to play Throne of Liberty are going to make all the money that NCSoft needs.
Okay? They didn't string us along every month for 12 straight years, dragging us behind the cart, asking for more money constantly. Yeah, Star Citizen does that, and that's why people hate Star Citizen.
It still has not launched.
So all I'm going to say is I've never followed Star Citizen. I don't know what these developers or the head developer talks about as far as asking people for money, but I can attest to you, Steven has never pressured or asked people to purchase the Alpha 2 package. Ever.
In the West.
Oh, but it's out, though. It's out, and it's coming in the West, though. And it's a polished product.
Riot MMO first started development in 2016. For
Okay, you can't compare the Riot MMO. We have no idea what's going on with that.
8 years, they have been working on an MMO, and it has just been reset again and is back at square one, which probably means a minimum of 5 more years or 13
Yeah, the difference is Riot's not asking us for money.
I wonder
total before that
why
game.
is this guy so like upset for a company that hasn't made a single game yet, a company that has tried to prove themselves month after month with these live streams. Like, why is he so upset for people giving them money? Like, does he not want the product? Because I feel like, and again, you can't purchase anything from Ashes of Creation right now. Like, there's no pre-order packs. There's literally nothing to buy right now. So I really don't know like what he's talking about, because if Intrepid really wanted people's money, they would have not have stopped the pre-order packs. I'm telling you right now, they would have never stopped the pre-order packs.
Like, Riot's not asking us, and we would pay it too. To be clear, people would pay it. If Riot said, hey, we need more money, people would pay $500, thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But they're not. Ashes is. That's why people can complain that it's taking a long time.
Release if it actually does, and let's be honest, it is probably never going to release. So anywhere from 5 to 13 years seems to be how long it takes to develop an MMO. The average is probably somewhere around 7 to 8 years.
Yeah, but Ashes is nowhere near the fact.
It takes time, and there are some other details.
This is the cope of all cope, guys. This is crazy. I feel like I'm watching Narcoverse.
About Ash's development that many gloss over, but are important to point out.
Making an MMO as a new studio is a huge challenge. BDO is a new studio.
Those were developed by existing studios. Intrepid in 2017, when the game started development, had 15 employees, and not all of them were developers.
Is it Star Citizen? What's the game that has like that crazy small? It's not Star Citizen. It's something else. It started. The game came out. It was like that space game, and it was like really shitty. And then they turn it around, and it's amazing now.
No
Man's Sky. That's the one. They had like 7 employees working on it or whatever. No Man's Sky turned it around. They do an amazing job.
Yes, but they also put out a very crap product in the beginning, which is why it took them a long time to turn around. MMOs have one shot, one opportunity. Like, you can't just put out a basic game and literally just expect people to go on further. Look what happened to New World. New World has gotten better. New World has added a lot more stuff. New World has fixed a lot of bugs. Are people playing New World now? No. And the game has no pay to win aspect to it either. So, again, Rive is correct. You got to make a first impression, and it has to be a damn good one.
They hoped to hit 100 employees in 2018, but they were not
I do
able
agree.
to
New
hit
World needs
100
a Final
employees
Fantasy
until
2.0
2021.
make up to
It was
it,
hard
for
for
sure.
a new studio to
They
get
have 100 employees and they can't get one game out.
employees.
Y'all motherfuckers are paying for 100 people's salary. That's
Since
crazy.
the job security is often lower at startups.
And this is what your money went to.
And Steven is also picky on who he will hire. Plus,
So just like when I interviewed Nico, he's still not impressed with the combat. And I think, again, BDO, the one thing I've always heard about BDO is that BDO has amazing combat for action, right? It has amazing action combat. Very flashy, very over the top. It's not my personal taste as far as combat goes, but there is going to be abilities that are action based in Ashes of Creation. But I'll tell you this, Blue Squadron, if you're gonna play Throne and Liberty, as you say, you're gonna play Ashes too.
Plus, COVID was an additional setback, so full production really didn't get started until 2021 when they finally had enough employees
I
to
agree with
make
that.
real progress on the project. Then there was a major bug in the network code that was found during Apocalypse testing that caused them to have to rewrite their network code and certainly set the project back.
True.
And I also think upgrading from UE
This is all just, nobody cares. No one cares. This is all just standard product development problems. Shut up. Where is the game?
Or to UE5.
You
So the thing is that they've literally given us the transparency of why the game is not out yet. But you say you don't care, but that is the legit reason. You know, most companies don't even tell you why they've been delayed. You know, we don't know why Throne of Liberty took them 12 years to make. We don't know because they're not transparent with us. You know what I mean? And again, we're not giving Throne of Liberty any money yet, but it doesn't matter because it's going to be pay to win garbage. But Intrepid, because people have been given the money, they've been open and transparent with, hey, this is why. And I think that's good. You know, now you know. Let me see. Remember, they kept saying the customer is always right. This is the reason why the statement is bullshit to begin with. Let me see. I won't let him save me now. I have a few of these saved. I told you he gets proved wrong by the video and by the chat. Still chooses ignorance. TNL gets money from the Eastern release, right? I don't know if TNL gets money from the Eastern release. I mean, I'm sure because it's out there. Like they are getting money, so they're just taking their sweet time with the Western port. That box price is hard to ignore when they just forever keep working on it.
keep asking for more money. Where is the product?
I've set the project back some as well. Which these types of delays and setbacks are
Excuses,
normal
yeah,
with
nobody
MMO
cares.
development. You
Yeah,
just
they're
never
normal.
hear about the vast majority
Why did everybody else get their game out 10 years before you
of them,
did?
because most developers develop MMOs in a completely closed environment.
If they got it 10 years before they did, they would have been in the negative third year. Like, what are you talking about?
Intrepid has embraced open development, which means the good and the bad gets exposed. You don't just get a
Open development is fine unless you're constantly asking people for money, and I don't like open development. I think it should be like kind of between. I think you should ask players for advice and then just kind of do what you want for your game. Because if you ask players, players don't know what the hell they want, man. If you try to get caught up trying to make everybody happy, you'll end up making nobody happy.
That is true to an extent, but again, Intrepid is not asking people for their money. I just want to be, every time you say that, I'm going to keep saying that because I think you have a misconception that they're literally asking for money. They're not asking you for money. They had stuff for sale that they literally then told people, if it's too expensive, please don't buy it. Please wait. Like, watch your favorite streamer play it. Like, that's not usually what other startup companies do. Most times they will encourage you, please go buy our $200 game. Please go buy our $500 game. Like, that's what they do. Intrepid didn't do that.
carefully curated experience. You get it all.
And you can't buy it anymore either.
The final reason Ashes is taking so long. The game is massive. It just is. There is no way around that. And on one hand, I've always viewed
I don't know about you guys. I would rather them release it as a smaller world. I'd rather them just release the game as like part of the main continent. right? And then just release expansions for it every like 6 to 12 months to make it bigger. But like keeping it small at the start at least makes it feel like an alive world. I don't really care that the world's going to be massive. Then I just don't ever get to see anybody.
Viewed the scope as a potential issue. How do you make all these interconnected systems work well together and all of them feel good? Then have a massive 1,200 square kilometer world map, and on every square inch of this world map you have systems on top of systems on top of more systems. Getting all of that in place and feeling fluid is not an easy task. But on the other hand, while I view that as a concern, it is also why I am interested in this project. Because it is not just
Again, I think that the people that are still supporting Ashes of Creation at this point are also the same people that are still giving to OnlyFans every month for certain girls so that they'll talk to them because they, like they're in love with these people. Like,
The only OnlyFans that I subscribe to is Richie SH's feet pics. That's it. I can guarantee you they are the most amazing feet you've ever seen. So if you have not seen Richie SH's OnlyFans for his feet, I highly encourage you to, because
yet another WoW clone.
there's nothing you can say or do to give them reason.
It is aiming big. It is trying new things, and that
The queen knows, you know what I mean? Like they can do no wrong.
it's my nerd
It's exactly the same.
boner raging. And of course, speaking of nerd boners, Rivelations is live again tonight on Twitch.
tomorrow
I'll
he's gonna talk
Why
to
does it
Q.
say, look at this shit, bro? Like Ashes of Creation is underhyped.
It's true.
Underhyped? That's crazy. That's crazy. Here's the video right here.
Okay.
My favorite thing is when it says it looks like a 2010 game when it's not even in beta yet. Yeah, that's the problem, is it's not even in beta yet, and we're on almost year 8 now. It's like visiting a house that being built and it's only bricks for now, and someone says it looks like an abandoned building. It doesn't even have paint on it. No. Ashes of Creation. That's a good analogy. I like that. No, Ashes of Creation is that house that's been being built on the goddamn corner of your subdivision for the last 8 years, and like every 3 months they add 4 more bricks to it. But it's a constant construction site. It's a constant eyesore, and it's always there, ruining the house value of everything else around it. Thank you.
So I don't even know what to say to that. Wow. I honestly, I am so flabbergasted right now. Whew, man, this was a video. this was a video. Let me tell you. Wow. I think a lot of people are, and believe me, a lot of my WoW friends are very fed up with the MMO community right now. I wouldn't say the community, games, are fed up with MMO games, because they truly want to play something new. One of my friends today, he was just like, dude, I'm thinking of resubscribing to old school RuneScape. And he's like, I don't want to play WoW anymore. I don't want to go play Final Fantasy again. I already did all the stuff in SWTOR. None of the other MMOs interest me at all, but I want to play something. It's I have, for me personally, I really hear this sense of desperation from people. People are desperately wanting a new MMO experience. And again, Intrepid can release something if they wanted to, if they truly wanted to. But what would that do? Ultimately, I think it would hurt their company, because then people, if you say, Blue Squadron, oh, just release it with only one continent and to put the other in expansions, that may be fine to you, but there were certain promises that were made from Kickstarter that I think a lot of people would be very upset by that. I don't think people want this game piecemealed in that fashion. And to be honest, I think the game wouldn't function the way it should be if it only had one continent. How would the naval system work in that sense? Like, how would trading or even all of the gatherables that are going to be on the other continent, like, how would that work? You would just never discover certain things, because we do know that the gatherables are going to be region wide and only available to that region of the biome. So it is a lot. Not just promises, Vlad. You need the full map for all of the materials and transports. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. So I think, again, for people outside of the scope or outside of the know of Ashes of Creation, it's very easy to say, well, just release it with like out this system or without that system and this system. But all of these systems are so interconnected that you need them all to kind of work the way it needs to. But let me just see, because there's a little bit left of the video. I just want to make sure that
we needed that.
Okay. Blue, I will tell you this, man. If you watch this video, I would love to have you on my podcast. You can tell me how coped out of my mind I am to be an Ashes of Creation content creator. We can go back and forth, and you can let me know as to like why you think the scope of BDO is as big as Ashes of Creation, and we'll just talk. You know what I mean? I think, again, like, I think you need a better context of Ashes of Creation, and I would really recommend like the Lazy Peon video in 2020. I would watch the Lazy Peon video in 2020 first, and follow it up with the next Lazy Peon video of the still genuinely the next best MMO, which is like the part 2 of that. And to really understand like where the scope has gotten and where it's all caught up. If you want to be like a golden star student, you can watch the 3rd video that Lazy Peon did most recently to kind of catch you up to, I think, what was it, last month's live stream. So yeah, I just think that you have a complete inaccurate version in your head of what Ashes is. And again, my DMs are always open. If you want to talk, if you want to come on my show and explain yourself, and we can go in depth about it, I am up to chat. So that was a video, guys. that was a video. Home.